Hello and welcome to South Yorkshire Creative's first of 3 application support videos. Our local employers have identified that applications from young people do not always meet their expectations. To help address how you can thoroughly prepare before submitting an application to give yourself the best chance of success, we have 2 of our Cornerstone employers, Darren Jones from AESSEAL and Caroline Lee from Volker to give their top 5 tips when preparing to apply for a role.
I would say have a look at our website. On our website, it gives you a wealth of information about the projects we do and what we do as a company. We also have a Work For Us section, and on there you can actually see some profiles and videos of people in their career, and that'll give you an idea of the kind of people we're looking for. I'd also say have a look at our values as a company, because that'll help you work out if you align to those.
First thing I'd probably do then is do some research on the business you're going to apply for, find out what their key objectives, key strategies are at that time. That way then it shows that you've done some research in the company and you can bring that out at the initial interview. Along with that then I'd probably look at, in the initial stages, look at your elevator pitch of how are you going to attract interviewers to look at your CV the first time they see it.
So for our apprenticeship positions, we tend to advertise somewhere between February and May time. We hold something called an assessment day, and they tend to happen in June, July time. At the assessment day, everybody arrives at the same time. There is a bit of a talk about the role and the company. There are a few team building type games, and then in the afternoon it's more of like a speed interview technique, and each of the interviewers will ask a different themed question. One of the things that we do at Volker is we are very active in local schools and colleges, and we are happy to go in and do mini assessment days to give the young people a fair chance of succeeding.
So yes, we do hold assessment days. They typically start in the Easter of each year after our recruitment window opens. They initially begin with apprentice site tours. Essentially this is an opportunity for would-be apprentices or candidates to come and have a look at the company and look at the opportunities that are available within the company in that time. Along that then, after they have a site tour, we also do a interview workshop with the candidates to help hone them and practice skills that they might be required to pull on an interview. We do this because we think this is good for our own interview selection day, but it's also good for preparing them whatever environment they go into. So our interview days then, really they start after Easter, and we typically run 1 a month looking for candidates across the business. It's really split into 4 areas. The first is an icebreaker, so it's an opportunity for you to give a small presentation on yourself and for the interview panel to ask a few questions relevant to your icebreaker. So it's really an opportunity for you to sell yourself very quickly at initial interview via an elevator pitch. You can either do that in person verbally, or you can do a PowerPoint, or you can bring a handout, anything you can to make you a strong candidate. The second part then is a team building exercise where we test the team skills of you as an individual within a group of your fellow candidates at that time. After that then we go into a individual task where you'll be given an individual task to assess your problem solving skills, and after all that then you have a final interview. And amongst all those things, there's 2 things to look out for as well. There's a coffee break mid-morning and there's a lunch break at lunchtime. Both are really good opportunities for you to network with the interviewing team. So don't be tempted to go on your phone, get off your chair and go and have a chat with the people that have interviewed you, and again, work what you can to show that you're a really good candidate for the business.
At Volker we're very active in schools and colleges in the local region, so if we're at one of the events at your places, come and speak to us. If you have engaged with us at those events or you've come and done work experience, mention that during the application process, because that will go down and help make sure that you're a possible candidate. And when you're applying, if you have questions, don't be afraid to ask us questions. We want people that are interested in us, and if you're asking questions, that shows your interest.
So yes, we do apprentice selection events. They typically run shortly after our advertisement of a recruiting window in usually the Easter of each year. They're usually run bi-weekly to monthly, and it's usually an apprentice tour where you can walk around the site, look at the various apprentice opportunities that are open over that year, get some information about how to apply for them, and then look at, we do like an interview workshop afterwards, and we practice some of the skills you might be asked on interview to try and hone people for interview.
So at Volker AESSEAL, wherever possible, make sure you show that you're interested in us, not just the role. So if you've got a personal statement on your CV, make sure that mentions the engineering and things like that. We'll always have minimum requirements on our apprenticeship opportunities, so just make sure that's on your CV. One of the saddest things that HR have to do is to filter somebody out because there's not enough information on there, and if our application says that we need a driving licence, make sure that's mentioned. And I think ultimately what we want to see is people that are showing an interest in not just joining the opportunity we've got, but us as a company. So what I'd say is just make sure your CV is as relevant as possible and that you don't give us any opportunities to filter you out.
The first thing I'd say then is you probably need to ensure that the CV or application matches the requirements of the applications. So if it's talking about certain skills that you need, such as teamwork, good organisation, reliability and the likes, you need to make sure that your application highlights those skills and brings them to the surface. A good way to do this then is look at STAR statements throughout your application process. So talk about the situation, the task, the action and results. And if you have the time, add a bit of reflection at the end, i.e. what would you do if you could do the problem again? That's not necessarily in interview, but not necessarily the case in application, but definitely the case in interview.
I would say one of the biggest things is make sure you'll check your application. You don't want any errors, especially where a lot of people put attention to detail on a CV, and if you say attention to detail and there are errors on there, that automatically puts people at a disadvantage. I'd also make sure that if you've got any unexplained gaps, that they are mentioned, why there were an unexplained gap. And don't discount yourself, because a lot of people might come to our apprenticeship straight from education and they might think they have no skills because they've had no work experience, but you get a wealth of skills at school and college. You have to meet deadlines, you have to do attention to detail, you have to work in teams, you have to do communication skills, and you have to show resilience. So don't discount yourself or undersell yourself, because you'll have met many skills along the way.
I'd recommend all candidates to be bold. If you're interested in an organisation, don't be afraid to ring them up, go and visit them and try and find an opportunity to do work experience or a site tour. Most companies are looking for strong talent in the area, and the competition is fierce. So by being bold and stepping out of your comfort zone and going to these companies, you stand a much better chance of hitting an initial filter when your application comes through.